Hello everybody and welcome to this playthrough for Rookie Division in the Extreme Hills tournament, a mix of the Greenberg Slopes and the Eagle Peak. The video here is sponsored by Golf Clash and Playdemic, and before we start, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. You have the subscribe button on the bottom right corner. Also visit golfclashtommy.com for more Golf Clash related content for free. Last but not least, get the best tournament text guides on the market by going to patreon.com/golfclashtommy. Link in the description down below. I do believe that this tournament is going to give us, a low score. We are used to a low score, but I think with hole 1, 5, and I think it's going to be 8, if I'm not mistaken, or at least the 3 par 4s, we're going to see a lot of eagles being made on these 3, which is gonna pump up the score a lot. In the end, I would love to hear your thoughts about it in the comment section below. When you are following this playthrough or watching it afterwards, then you will see the info box on the right hand side with elevation adjustment for the drive and the second shot. If you do struggle with adjusting for elevation, search for elevation guide here on the YouTube channel and you will find what you're looking for. Also, what type of ball and club I feel is going to be the best one to play on that specific hole. Obviously, you don't have to use what I'm saying you should use, but there's always a thought behind it. So listen closely and hopefully I'm going to be able to help. In the end here, I think it's enough talk about that, so let's run to hole number 1. So let's take a look at the drive, and here we can play 2 different ways. 1, we can lay up short and have a wood club towards the pin, or 2, we're gonna do as we do here in the example. Power 3 ball to gain as much distance possible. 4.5 bar topspin, 4.5 bar side spin to the right. We do adjust for a maximum distance with a 20% over adjustment. Once we have done that, we push up our target into max. And then it's time to go max over power. You can hit great left, you can hit great right, you can hit perfect, and you will still be nicely on the fairway. The thing that we do try to achieve is to get past the trees that we do have on the left, or at least get as far down so the trees won't be in play when shooting for the pin in 2. Even though the trees look like it would be in our face, it's not gonna be that. Second shot, we do want to play with 4.5 to 6 bars of backspin. Use the long iron that gives you the most backspin. A backbone in a higher level is preferred, but you can also play with a lower level Saturn or also a Goliath, obviously. So look at what you do have in your bag, and then you're going to play with a 10% over adjustment and most likely in max distance. All depends on how close you are towards the pin. Adjust, take your shot, and the ball is gonna come in very nicely, but we just lipped the eagle on the left hand side. In the end, this hole, in my opinion, is gonna be tougher for those of you that are playing in Rookie when it comes to playing with lower level clubs. If you do possess a higher level sniper, which means a sniper level 8 plus, I would recommend you to take a look once it's out for the whole guide for Pro and Expert Division, where I'm going to show you the funnel shot where we go on the back end of the green. But it is relied on the fact that you do have a good ball guideline. That's why I'm not going to focus on it here in Rookie. So we play it conservative, play on the right, get it down there, take the shot towards the pin, and get that freaking eagle. So let's take a look here, and we're going to play with the backbone. And the reason I want you to play with the backbone is due for its accuracy and the ball guideline. Max side spin to the right and 2 bars of topspin is what I'm gonna use when we play in some sort of headwind. Look at the second bounce to be somewhat in between the rough and the start of the fringe when spin has added, and the red ring by the rough line. But I think it's more importantly to look at the second bounce and the final tip of the ball guideline than looking at the rings, due to having a different level of the backbone. Like if you're not having level 7 for an example, then you're gonna have a different type of ring size, and therefore the red ring by the rough is not gonna be as accurate as we want to. Speed wise, we come in nicely, but we missed left, but we also hit great left as well, which obviously would make sense. We do play maximum distance with a 10% over adjustment, so even though we are not entirely in maximum distance, we are using maximum distance together here with the 10%, and the katana for the side spin 3, so we don't have to play that super duper close to the rough on the right. I think that is super important to have in mind. Let's start with the drive, and here we do play with the driver that gives us the most distance. The reason we want to do that is because we do want to reach directly over the rough instead of having to bounce before. 4.5 bar topspin, 4.5 bar side spin to the left, and then I'm going to add a click of overpower combined with curl to the left. The reason I want to use the curl is because I don't want to gamble with that I'm gonna hit this like absolute spot on drive and then I might hit a great right and then I'll be into the rough and then we're gonna struggle saving the eagle. The thing to have in mind as well when it comes to picking the correct ball is that you can use a power 2 or power 3 ball and make it easier for you by using less overpower. But the only thing I would like you to have in mind is that if you're using a different ball, use at least a ball with side spin 2. Second shot, we play 30% over adjustment, and now we're playing this one massively downhill. You can see on the ball guideline already how far down this ball is going to be played. We're in max distance with our long iron, but have in mind that depending on how much distance you're having with your drive, you might be in the position of playing with a wood club instead of a long iron some of the times. Great left is never gonna be good, obviously, especially when a perfect would have looked really good. But tough second shot, but definitely makeable. But once again, for the second shot, just summarize that real quick. It will be either a wood club or a long iron, depending on what type of distance you have with your drive. So let's take a look at this very tough par 3, and the reason I see this one as a tough par 3 is because it's very difficult to get the correct speed towards the pin, because we play this one massively downhill. I'm using 3 to 4 bars of backspin, 4.5 bar side spin to the left. The reason for the side spin is because the fairway slightly pushes us from left to right when it hits the ground. And the backspin obviously to get the ball to stop. So use the wood club that gives you at least 3 bars of backspin. So if you do have a sniper in a low level, it would be better to play with Viper as I'm doing on the video. But if you do have a sniper in a higher level, then I would really recommend you to play with the sniper due to then you would be having a better accuracy and also a better ball guideline, which would make that shot way easier. I play maximum distance with a 20% over adjustment. So even though we're not in maximum distance in total with our club, I still play maximum distance with a 20% over adjustment. So there we have it for hole number 4. So let's go to hole number 5, and this is going to be a hole where we're going to try to go for green. And the reason we're going to try to go for green is because if we're going to lay up short, we're going to have a massive difficulty to adjust properly for the second shot. And I'm going to talk about that more in a little bit. Max top spin and as much side spin to the left possible. I would highly recommend to play with a power 3 ball here, to ensure that we do get as much distance possible. Those of you playing or in the possibility of playing with a power 5 ball, I could even say that playing with a power 5 ball would be very, very beneficial to get that ball down the hill. So now when I'm taking my shot, I'm not using any overpower, which in the end is a mistake. You do need to use as much overpower possible to ensure that you once again fall down the hill. But it is enough to just get the ball fall down, as you can see here. That's why I wanted to demonstrate this type of video as an example. Because if we just fall down from the hill there, then we're going to see ourselves having a nice opportunity from the lower part of the fairway. But let's pretend we have a headwind, or let's pretend we do not have the club on the ball, or the balls, we do have to lay up short. Then the second shot is going to be played 30% over adjusted from the top of the hill. But the problem from the top of the hill is that you will not be able to zoom in enough to get that ball adjusted in the way that we would need to get an accurate adjustment to follow. So very important to have that in mind. Otherwise, this is, in my opinion, going to be a must eagle, especially if you're looking for a top score in the tournament. So let's take a look at the drive, and we're gonna play left side, and we're gonna use the big topper if possible. You know, the big topper with its topspin is going to be highly valuable to get the distance that we need to. Otherwise, if you don't have the big topper, I would recommend to use the club that after the big topper has the most topspin. So distance isn't really a must here in this hole, because we are going to still be very close to the rough anyway to get that ball to bounce. If playing with a power 4, power 5 ball, you can go directly over the rough and don't have to bounce before. Power 3 ball, to get the distance, not so much for the drive, but especially for the second shot, and you're gonna notice why in just a bit. Use all the topspin that you do have, and now on the fairway you do want the ball to roll as far down the fairway possible. Even if you have the big topper in just level 1, I would rather go with the big topper as the first choice of a driver to get the best possible situation for the second shot. Second shot, we're going to play 10% over adjustment, and we're gonna go for a rough bump if we feel comfortable with that. If you don't, then you play on the fairway on the side of the rough and just using backspin to the green. But to maximize the opportunity of getting an albatross, the rough bump is going to be the best choice of play. Big dog to give ourselves the distance that would help us if we do get short with our drive, because otherwise if we go short with our drive and we play with a Viper or the Sniper, we're gonna have a difficulty to reach to the spot that we want to. So two choices, either go for the rough bump or you go on the side and bounce on the fairway. No matter what though, 10% over adjustment with our shot. Bouncing to the rough with a great right, we are going to miss on the right side of the pin. Speed wise though, it's good, but this is a difficult one making an albatross on, so in the end choose which way you want to play wisely, because in the end we cannot afford making a birdie here. So no elevation for the drive, 10% over adjustment for the second shot, and then we have a chance for the albatross even though it's tough. So par 3, backbone, and the reason I want you to play with a backbone due to its better accuracy and the better ball guideline than most of the long irons in an early level. Sure, if you do have higher level clubs like higher level Goliath, B52, Grizzly, then you should consider those as well. But now we're focusing on lower level clubs, then the backbone is superior. I'm not using any spin whatsoever here when it comes to a northeast type of wind. Adjusting is what we're going to do with a maximum distance with a 10% over adjustment. So even though we're not in maximum distance, I'm using maximum distance as a reference. Bouncing on the fairway, the ball is coming in with a very nice speed, but we do need a little bit of side spin to compensate for the push we're getting from the wind. In the end, you can use a different ball as well. You can use basically whatever type of ball, as we're not really looking for a lot of attributes on on the ball that we're playing with. If we do have a guardian, and if we are afraid of the sand and the rough, then you can use max backspin, aim directly at green, and then aim for the top of the green for the ball to fall back down. Sure, the possibility of making an eagle, like an hole-in-one that way, is gonna be a bit less as we don't have a fully developed ball guideline, but it's gonna be a 100% safe birdie. Let's take a look at the drive here as a start. And the drive here is going to be with a driver like the Extra Mile, like the Thor's Hammer, and a driver that has a decent amount of distance. 4.5 bar topspin, 2.5 bar side spin to the right. Focus on the second freaking bounce. In between the rough to the left, in between the rough, and also in between the rough to the left and the rough to the right. And the reason we do want to play with a driver with a decent amount of distance is due to the fact that if we do have a headwind, we are otherwise struggle with being in between clubs with drivers like the rock or the quarterback. Maximum distance with a 10% over adjustment, a ball is going to bounce on the fairway and down the middle. And now we're going to position ourselves very nicely to the pin. And you can see there on the view there in the end that now we're going to shoot uphill. And when we shoot uphill, we're going to have to subtract from our original adjustment. We play with a short iron, we are very close to minimum distance of our club, and I'm using 3 bars of backspin as per default. I think the key here for this shot is to leave the ball guideline short of pin. Even though it looks like that this one is gonna stop super short, don't listen to the ball guideline, or don't focus on the ball guideline with lower level clubs. Just rely on that the spin that I'm giving you here is going to be correct. Now we are adjusting minimum distance with minus 10% in adjustment, or like elevation, and then try to hit perfect. And you can see that the ball is very minimal, affected by the wind. But at the same time, you can see as well that the speed that we came in towards the pin was way hot enough for the ball to get there. So very important that you just follow that backspin adjustment that I'm having, and do not rely on the ball guideline, as that will fool you more times than not with lower level clubs. Very good chance for an eagle here, in my opinion. You may be wondering, if we do have a tailwind, can we go for green? Yes, power 3 ball or better. Then you can use a driver like the extra mile. You will have to go with max overpower, and you will have to be lucky, because you're gonna bounce on the fairway up to the fairway before the green and then stay on the green. It's gonna be lucky to get there, but in the end, if you don't feel comfortable hitting perfect at all, that might be an option to go with instead. So let's start off with the drive, and we're gonna play left hand side, as I do believe that will be the best way to get the drop. Power 3 ball, which is the Titan. You can play Kingmaker as well, or any other type of ball that has power 3. Side spin is not that super valuable, but it's good to have at least the side spin 1. 10% over adjustment, max distance. Once you have done that, you push up your club into max, and then it's time to take our shot. And you can see here the ball, it being hit perfect, and you're gonna see the ball carry down on the fairway. And we do want to reach as far down possible without obviously rolling into the rough there on top. Second shot is going to be played with a 5% extra elevation, and now we're going to want to play close to the rough there to the right. And the reason for that is because we have a pretty nice spot. You can see there when you wiggle back and forth, then the ball guideline is basically stuck. And that's the spot that we are looking for to give ourselves the best possible way of making an albatross here. The albatross here is definitely makeable, and obviously for those of you playing with a sniper level 7+, which does have a 4.5 ball guideline, then that's going to be a much easier shot than playing with a lower level sniper like sniper level 4 here in this example, as we cannot see the fully developed ball guideline. Nonetheless though, good chance making an albatross, and the ball is going to bounce on the fairway and get down there towards the pin. A little bit too much to the left, and we need to get the adjustment properly to be there. But in the end, you know, this is a nice ending on the tournament, to have a hole like this where the albatross is makeable, but you have to earn it. Thank you so much everybody for watching this playthrough for Rookie Division in the Extreme Hills tournament. The video here is sponsored by Golf Clash and Playdemic. Make sure that you comment in the comment section below with your thoughts about this tournament and what the score you think it might be to win. I would love to hear your thoughts. In the end, I want to say again a big thank you for watching this video, and a big good luck in the Extreme Hills tournament.